Welcome to the Where Do Gays Retire podcast, where we help you in the LGBTQ plus community find a safe and affordable retirement place. Join Mark Goldstein as he interviews others who live in gay-friendly places around the globe. Learn about the climate, cost of living, healthcare, crime and safety, and more. Now, here's your host, Mark Goldstein.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to retire in Philadelphia freedom? Oh boy, I sound so bad. But today we are going to be talking about Philadelphia, retiring in Philadelphia with our special guest, Nancy Schneider. Nancy grew up in New Jersey and went to undergrad in Massachusetts, where she earned a BSBA and came out at 19. She lived in Washington, D.C., Raleigh, North Carolina, Chicago, Illinois, Miami Beach, Delray Beach, and then part-time and full-time in Philadelphia. That's quite a bit. Wow. Degrees also included an MBA and MA from geography. She started her career in the corporate world and decided she wanted more freedom. There comes that Philadelphia freedom. And she became a flight attendant and did some consulting on the side, where she worked for the Institute of Sustainable Communities as a senior program officer to the Southeast Florida Regional Climate Change Compact. Wow. She retired in 2020 and now lives in Philly and travels extensively. She is single at the moment. Well, welcome. Welcome to the podcast, Nancy. Thank you so much for coming. And tell us a little bit about your background, your history, and why you chose Philadelphia. I keep on saying Philly because I'm from New York, as a place to settle down.
Well, I'm going to say first, it's okay to say Philly because Philly people say Philly. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
You're in. Don't worry about it. Yeah. How it started out was I had moved away, basically. I was living in Florida, and then my sister needed assistance with care of my mom, who was about an hour from Philly. So I bought a home up here and then was going back and forth part-time here in Philly. And then when my mom passed away in 2015, I was like, this is a pretty good situation, having a place in the summer or the spring, fall, early fall in Philly, and then having a place in Florida in the winter. So I continued with that. And then Florida's gotten too crazy. So I decided no more Florida a couple of years ago and sold Florida. Now I'm here in Philly full time. It's kind of a city that's new, but not new. Being from this greater regional area, I was familiar with it, but not when you live in a place and you're actually walking down the streets every day. It's a very different familiarity than when you just sort of visit from nearby. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Totally agree. And okay, so tell us a little bit about Philadelphia. In Pennsylvania, where is Philadelphia exactly
located? So Philly is on the east, we'll call it the east coast of Pennsylvania. It's on the Delaware River, and it's about a 2-hour drive or bus ride or train ride to New York, about a 2-hour ride to DC, and a smidgen over an hour to the Jersey coast. So it's a great central location, and it's got a bit of a temperate climate. Like, there just was a snowstorm that hit North New Jersey and Connecticut, but we did not have any snow in Philadelphia. We have not really had measurable snow in several years, actually, now. Previously, there was much more snow, but, climate change, that's how it's going. And so that should kind of put it on the map for...
It's kind of nice because it's... I'm relating to New York City, and it's south of New York City. Yeah, it's a little bit warmer in Philly as it is. And I think by train, 2 hours. It's very convenient. So you can go for a day trip or a weekend to New York City, see a couple of shows, and come back, and it's not that far. That's great.
Right.
So are the summers... I would equate it to New York weather. So summers are kind of humid, hot and humid.
Yes, definitely. July and August can be hot. And of course, you have the urban heat island effect, right? So cities are always hotter than if you even just go outside the city just a half an hour away. It makes a big difference. Like my
Yeah.
friends who live in Asbury Park, which is a gay beach community in New Jersey, in the summertime, it'll be probably 10, maybe even between 5 to 10 to 15 degrees cooler there than it will be in Center City. So there's times that you want to get out, but sometimes I like the weekends in the city because everybody leaves. They go places and you have sort of the city to yourself. So that's kind of nice too in the summertime here.
That's how I felt in New York City sometimes too. On the weekend, people would just like get out, go to the beach resorts in P-Town or wherever they go.
Right,
And
right.
the city would be empty. So
Oh yeah,
it's
P-Town's 6 hours drive from here. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it was a little hike from New York, but yep. So, okay, great.
Yeah.
So how about quick getaways? Are there
Well,
any quick getaways for you, whether it be the summer or winter months?
oh, so many places. Like we just talked about, DC, New York are a couple of hours, and the Jersey Shore and Asbury Park is a gay town on the Jersey Shore for folks that are not familiar with it. And that's like an hour, and like when I drive, it's maybe an hour and 10 minutes or so. And then Rehoboth, Delaware is another gay town that's probably a couple of hours. There's Cape May, New Jersey, which is a old Victorian sort of town at the beach. I'm going with some friends to Rhode Island this summer, and that's going to be 4 hour drive. The Cape is like 6 hours, and Boston's probably about that for driving. Upstate New York is like the Finger Lakes region, which is the wine region of upstate New York. That's about 4 hours. And then if you go sort of the other way, well, if you go west, you have Lancaster, Pennsylvania, the Amish country, also the
Right.
Poconos is north of here. And then like Annapolis, Maryland is a beautiful weekend getaway and the Chesapeake Bay. And that's about 2 hours. Same with Baltimore. That's about an hour and a half. So there's a tremendous amount to do. And that's just for driving trips. Philadelphia has a major airport with the merger of US Air and American Airlines. Philadelphia is now a major hub, both domestically and internationally. You can fly direct to Rome, Madrid, Amsterdam, Copenhagen, Lisbon, Doha. Yeah, so it's a really good. You don't have to go to New York for those flights. So it's very easy. I live 15 minutes from the airport, and it's crazy. Like one time I went to Lisbon and I left there at 10 o'clock, and I was home in my house by 1:30 in the afternoon.
And
And I
you're
was
like,
like, really, somehow I know it works, but it still seems a little bit odd.
did you have to
So
make a stop? Is it nonstop?
it's nonstop.
Oh, you see, that's what I miss the East Coast
Hmm.
because if I wanted to go to Europe, I have to make a stop somewhere,
Yeah.
whether
Hmm.
it be in New York or Dallas somewhere. But I have to
Right.
make that stop. Living in New York or on the East Coast in Philly, you
Hmm.
have those non-stops
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
Europe. Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I love
I
that.
had a lady when I was coming back from Thailand. I went to Paris to fly back, and there was a lady on my flight. She's like, "Oh, I live in Seattle. Once I get to Philly, I then have to do another whatever it is, 6 hours to Philly." I'm like, No, I just Paris, Philly. I'm done." Yeah,
Okay, I'm putting this on my retirement list.
suddenly the East Coast is not so awful.
It's not.
The
It's
best thing
not.
is you can get out of here easily.
The only thing is those winters, I remember New York winters. Now you say it's not bad. It's not so bad with snow, but oh my God, I remember those biting cold days that I'd be waiting for a bus.
Yeah, well, it's getting warmer. I mean, the reality of climate change is that it is getting warmer. Of course, the summers are getting warmer too. So
Right.
there's the plus and the minuses, but the winters are just not as brutal as they used to be. And because it is so convenient to get out of town, if you're retired or if you're able to, or if you travel for work, you can work at that, you can get out of
Yeah,
here. Yeah.
absolutely. It's important. That's one of my takeaways and one of my things are I need to live a half hour, 45 minutes to an international airport.
Yes, that's my criteria also.
That's my criteria, right?
Hmm.
It's important because when you're retired, you want to travel, hopefully.
Right.
So if you can, and yeah, so that's important.
Right.
So
But I
that's
will add that of
Mhm.
the reasons you moved to Philly, weather is not one of them. So, and as
Right.
someone who lived in Florida all those years, weather was the number one factor, but it didn't have all the other things that I have here. It's like any place that you're going to live. You're never going to find really the perfect place. You just have to look at what are the factors that are important to you, and then you sort of weight the factors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's important too. So you got to look at the whole picture. Climate, cost of living, healthcare, all of that stuff. What's more important to you?
Hmm.
Travel. So,
Right.
all
Yeah.
right. So, Philadelphia, does it have an LGBTQ neighborhood?
Yes. So it has the Gayborhood. It's right in Center City. And there are a number of gay bars, gay restaurants. There's the William Way Center, which is a gay community center, which does a lot of work. And it's as much as there's a gay neighborhood, you can live anywhere in Philly pretty much and be gay and nobody cares. It's a blue city. I don't even think they've ever had a Republican mayor here. And it just is. Nobody cares. It's just life.
Is there a name for that neighborhood, the
The
LGBTQ?
Gayborhood.
It's called the
It's
Gayborhood.
the Gayborhood. That everybody knows it as the Gayborhood. I mean,
Okay.
if I had to put the parameters, I think it's between Broad Street, which would be equivalent to 14th and maybe 10th, and then from I guess Spruce to Chestnut, I guess. And if you're not familiar, those number that's meaningless. But for anybody who knows Philly, they would know those streets. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember walking around a few times. And I was a tourist and didn't know really where I was. But I think I would have been like in the downtown area, Chestnut Street,
Yeah. Yeah, we
where the
call it
Liberty
We
Bell
call it Center
was.
City here, not
Where's the
downtown.
Liberty
Philly
Bell?
people call it Center City. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Center
Yeah.
City.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it important to you to live in a gayborhood? Do you live in a gayborhood?
I don't live in the Gayborhood. I'm walking distance to the Gayborhood. And but like here's for instance, 3 blocks from my house is a place called Queen and Rook. It's a game cafe where you go in, you can play games, and all of the people working there are all transgender. And it's
Oh, wow.
very positive. It's a very queer, positive, queer forward place, and it's always full of
Wow,
all
I love
people.
it.
But it's like just part of the neighborhood. It's not anything bad or good. You know what I mean? There's no judgment. No, I'm not in the Gayborhood, but I do go often over to the Gayborhood. Matter of fact, I walked through the Gayborhood when I walked to Macy's today. Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
great.
but it is important to me to live in a place where being gay is just
Doesn't
okay.
matter.
It's yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's really nice. That's what I love about the East Coast. Not that I get judged here at all. I mean, Phoenix is a pretty diverse place as far as the city proper is. You go to the outskirts of Arizona and it gets different. Well, the same thing with Pennsylvania too. So,
Sure. Yeah. If you go to central Pennsylvania,
yeah,
yeah,
it's quite different.
mhm.
Cities are generally pretty diverse
Right.
areas.
Right.
Okay. And all the gay bars are located in the gayborhood or are they
Pretty
scattered everywhere?
Pretty much. I'm thinking if there's any gay bars that are elsewhere. And I guess there are. Like, if you leave Philly totally and you go up to New Hope and places like that, there's gay bars there too. But, because I live in the city and I walk everywhere, I don't know if there's any gay bars that are like in a different area of the city. I don't know because I just don't go there. I just pretty much stay in my immediate walking
Little
area.
bubble.
Yeah, my
That's what
bubble.
I call my little area is my
My
little
Philly
bubble.
Central bubble.
My little blue bubble.
My little blue bubble, yeah.
So okay, you just mentioned New Hope. So I
Another
had a guest
day trip.
here that was from that area.
Hmm.
How far is that? Is that like a half an
About
hour or
45 minutes,
45
I'd
minutes?
say. Yeah.
Yes, had my friend Mark McNeese on my podcast from there.
Oh, good.
Awesome, awesome. Okay. Is it easy or difficult to make friends in Philadelphia, in the gay community, or
Yeah, I would
likewise?
say, well, there's a lot of gay meetup groups for different things, hiking or whatever other things. Like I was mentioning that I'm not gay, but the game, the game, not the gay, the game cafe near my house. on Sunday, the last Sunday of the month, they do like a gay women's night. I just happened to find out about it when I went there to play games with some of my other friends. And the guy and the person working there said, "Oh, we do Sapphic Sundays on the last Sunday of the month." And I was like, so I was thinking about going because I was just the last Sunday is going to be coming up soon, so I was thinking about going. But so there's all kinds of things going on other than the bars where you can meet people in addition to meetup groups and the William Way Center, which is the community organization. And there actually is an over 55 gay retirement building in the Gayborhood. I'm sorry I don't know more about it, but I do know that it is there for folks.
Is it for like social events?
I don't know if they have any social events, but it's another housing option.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I think I did. I think Philadelphia was one of the cities that I read that had this apartment building strictly for LGBTQ folk that live there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I love that. That's really, that strikes a chord with me because we need so many more of those around because we don't have enough. Yeah. And we need people, as we get older, we need people in the community to help one another and to be friends with one another. And God forbid something happens, you need a lift somewhere. You need
and people in Philadelphia, gay or straight, some of them are a little rough around the edges. Think of the movie Rocky, Sylvester Stallone, South Philly, but they're authentic and they're real and they will help you if you need help. And within the gay community, I don't find any pretentiousness or for gay men or gay women. I find it to be very authentic and just regular people living here that just will have a conversation with you. Yeah.
Yo, Adrian.
Yeah, that's it.
I just remembered. Sylvester Stallone. Okay. I was curious that game place, do they play like gay bingo or do they have like drag queen bingo?
Well, I don't think they have drag queen bingo, but we do have that here, just not there. So actually there was something else that I wanted to mention too, that the Stonewall National Museum Archives and Library is having an exhibit called Standing on the Shoulders of Heroes and Never Silent. And they're having the first exhibit in Philadelphia between April 16th and April 23rd. And it's really about the celebrating gay history. And the Philadelphia's history with gay history is that there was a lot going on here even before Stonewall. There was the homophile movement. And when there was pickets in front of Independence Hall in the 1960s, there was a lot going on here also. If anybody's interested in that exhibit, it's running short and it's only 10 to 4 during the week. It's kind of just, I'm going to try to get over there this week to see it. So
please let me know how it is. That sounds awesome. Mm-hmm. Okay. Before I forget, what's the population? Do you know the population of Philadelphia?
Yeah. So what is it? It's New York, LA, Chicago, and then Phoenix and Philly kind of hover between fourth place, I think. Some years Philly, I mean, obviously historically Philly was higher. And then I think it sort of faltered and as when people were moving out, like during the pandemic and things like that. But now it's sort of on the rebound again. I'm not sure if it's number 4 or number 5 for that. But it is a major city, obviously.
Do you know how many people?
Oh, off the top of my head, I don't.
Let me I just so happen to have something.
Okay.
Is it this is 2021, 1.5 million, a little bit more.
Right. And then there's Philly, and then there's the greater Philadelphia region, which this area of the country is very populated. We're just over the river from New Jersey, which has the highest density of any state, I think, or some statistic close to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, for a city, it does have a lot of people. And I forget what Phoenix proper is too. And I know you're correct because Phoenix goes between 4 and 5 on the list of population as well. But the greater metro Phoenix area is huge too. And it's like it goes on forever. And the state of Pennsylvania is quite large too.
Yes. Well, I joke with people and I say I can drive to Vermont and get there faster than if I drive to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Pittsburgh.
Vermont is closer than Pittsburgh.
How far is Pittsburgh?
It's about a 6-hour drive, and
It's
Vermont's five and a
far.
half. Yeah.
Yeah. It's cold there too.
Yeah.
But it's a nice, Pittsburgh comes up as retirement city too.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah. Hmm.
yep,
Right.
absolutely. How about tell us what the local economy is like? If I wanted to rent a 2-bedroom apartment or purchase 2-bed, 2-bath home, give me some sort of rough
Okay. Well,
guess.
I did pull up a couple of numbers on that. A one-bedroom apartment in Center City would be about 1600 or so, 1700. Like a three-bedroom apartment, again, in Center City would be about $2,900. But you can go further out and not be right in Center City. And obviously the prices would be lower unless you went to one of the upscale areas like Chestnut Hill or one of the communities on the main line. Then of course you're not going to be inexpensive either. But for houses, oh gosh, it depends. If you want to buy a fixer upper in an up and coming neighborhood, you can get something probably, I mean, if it's a shell, I mean, my God, you could get something for $100,000. But, if you really want to get a home that you would live in and that would be nice in a nice neighborhood or a condo, but then there's parking or no parking, and there's all these things that fluctuate the price. I would say probably in the $500,000 to $800,000 range. I'm going to guess
Makes
something like
sense.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And how about cost of living as far as utility bills, cable bills, air conditioning, electric, water?
Yeah, okay. For let's say one person, if you did electric, heating, water combined, it's probably about $130 a month or so. It's not expensive at all. For me personally, now I own a duplex, so I have a renter downstairs, one person, and the water bill just came and it's monthly, and the water bill was $50.
For
And,
both?
for both.
Wow.
Yeah. And for heat and electric, well, it depends. In the summer, obviously, you're not using your gas, but the electric bill is higher, and vice versa. And so I'm going to say maybe if you're in a house, it might be like between $100 and $200 for a small home. And most of the houses in Philadelphia in Center City are what they call row homes, which is like a brownstone,
I
which
love
for
those.
me, I think it's the best form of housing for
I
myself
love
because you don't
those.
have a yard to deal with, but you own your own house. So you're not dealing with the condo association and other people that are going to control how you spend your money, that it's real. And these are like my house is about 110 years old. So it was built well. I don't hear my neighbors and on either
Concrete.
side. And so there's thick walls and they're well built, even with the earthquake we had recently. Nothing, no
Yeah.
pictures fell off the
Oh
wall or
my
anything.
God. I couldn't believe that. Did you feel it?
I wasn't here at the
Oh,
time.
okay.
Yeah.
You were traveling.
I was traveling. So it's reasonably priced. And again, no place is cheap anymore. Yeah. In
Do
the
you
US.
you said you live in a duplex, so you have people downstairs renting, but do you have another flight of stairs?
I do. I have to go up one flight of stairs to get to my living room, dining room, kitchen, main bathroom area, and then another flight of stairs up to my bedroom and my office, and then another flight of stairs up to my roof deck, and that's my outside space.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I have to have your opinion because that was one of my questions in my Facebook group. Stairs or no stairs when you're retiring and you're getting older. Well, how do you feel about that? Do you think that'll keep you in shape, or you're going to be looking for one story?
Well, that's the debate. I guess I'm not quite ready to have to make that decision yet. But there's a lot of little old Italian ladies in South Philly that are going up those 2, 3 flights of steps, and they're like in their 80s, and they're still doing it with a walker, and their bathroom is only on the second floor, and it seems to be keeping them in shape. So there's pluses and minuses to both sides. Yeah,
There was
yeah.
this debate going on that I had. Everybody, I would say though, 3/4 would say no, you can get your exercise somewhere else at the gym. But the fact is, when you're retired and you're traveling and doing stuff, are you really going to get to the gym? So that's another thing. Climbing those stairs might be not too bad in the long run.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. Okay, tell us about How about the arts and culture scene? I know Philadelphia is an artsy and culture place. There's
Yes,
a lot
very
to
much.
do.
We have, for instance, the Kimmel Center, which houses the Philadelphia Orchestra. There's the Walnut Street Theater, which is the longest continually running theater in the world, not just
Really?
the United States, yes. And we have the Museum of Art. We have the Barnes Museum, and the permanent collection there is 181 Renoirs, 69 Cézannes, 59 Matisses, along with works by Monet, Seurat, and Picasso and many other well-known artists. And it's one of the world's foremost collections of French Impressionist and Post-Impressionist paintings. So
Wow.
that alone, then we have the Rodin Museum, and then, of course, the Franklin Institute and the Mutters Museum. And I mean, it just goes on and on and on that you will never, ever be bored here.
Get bored.
Yeah. And there's even a lot of free things, free concerts. The churches have oftentimes a Baroque people playing Baroque music outside in the gardens. And there's actually a few blocks from my house is a church that was originally, it did burn down at one point and they did rebuild it, but it was one of the original Swedish churches from like the 1400s because the Swedes were here before the British. Yeah, so there's some incredible history here other than Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell. So, yeah.
Now, can you walk to any of these things?
Yes, I
where
walked
you
to all
are?
of it.
You can walk to all of it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of it.
I'm going to live in your house.
So, got an extra bedroom.
But you got to go upstairs.
You got to go upstairs.
That is awesome. I'm excited.
Even if folks didn't, let's say, want to move here, it's a great city to go for travel for a long weekend for a week because you don't have to rent a car. Matter of fact, I would discourage renting a car. You can take the train right from the airport. I just took an Uber the other day when I came home. I think it was $26 for me to go home with Uber or Lyft, and you can. It's really walkable. Everything is walkable, and there's just so much. There's just so much to do.
Can you also walk to a grocery?
Yeah, I can walk to Whole Foods. There's also another health food store near here. And then there's Acme and Giant. I can walk to all of those.
Do you?
Oh, and Trader Joe's. There's two Trader Joe's.
Do you walk or do you take
and the
car?
famous Reading Market, which is a tourist destination, but it's like kind of like Pike's Market in Seattle, where it's all kinds of vendors selling meat and produce and baked goods and all kinds of cool stuff. And there's actually one person there that sells liquors and wines and spirits that are only made in like Pennsylvania, maybe a little bit into New York, a little bit into New Jersey. So it's, if you ever want a gift to bring home that's exclusive to this area, that would be a great gift. But then you have to check your bag.
And you could walk there too, that Reading Market?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm coming over.
Without telling too much of a story, I had a procedure done in December, and I said to the doctor, "Well, can I walk home from my surgery?"
See, that's what I look for.
No, you can't.
You can't walk home. You at least got to take a Uber.
I did walk to my procedure. It was only 15 minutes, but yeah.
See, to me, that's ideal. It's an ideal place to live. If you could walk everywhere. It really reminds me of where I lived in Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn. I always walked everywhere. I mean, everywhere that I needed. And if I couldn't walk, I took a bus to the subway into the city. I was there in no time. I worked all my life.
Speaking of buses, once you turn 65, buses are free.
Is it free?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm past 65.
Okay.
That's interesting. Really, really interesting. All right, retirees, you hear about that? So you deal with a little winter, not so bad, but look at all of the amenities that you have. Okay, and I remember I took a train. I think it was New Jersey Transit that I took from Manhattan to Philly, was it?
Yes.
New Jersey
Transit. Amtrak or New Jersey Transit.
New Jersey Transit.
Yeah, and there's also a train that you can take to Atlantic City if you like to. Well, there's actually casinos in Philly, but if you want to get to Atlantic City, you can take a train.
And how far is Atlantic City from you?
A little over an hour. Yeah.
See, it was if we took a bus from Atlantic City, I think it was like 3 hours.
Yeah, to New York, definitely,
Yeah.
because we had to go all the way down the Parkway.
So, oh yeah, an hour's. That, I think I'm getting homesick. All right. I haven't been to Atlantic City in God knows how long, since I left the New York area, probably even before that. But anyway, are you a foodie?
Yes.
And tell us about the food scene in Philadelphia.
The food scene here is completely overlooked by the rest of the country. And you can get any cuisine here and exceptional cuisine here. I mean, yes, there's the Philly cheesesteak sandwiches
Everybody,
and chicken and bar tavern food or going to one of the sports games. Oh, I forgot to talk about the sports. I'm not a sports person, so that's why I kind of forget about it. But, Philly is a very much a sports city
yep,
between the basketball, football, and baseball. I guess that's the
baseball.
third one. Yeah, thanks. Because I don't know about these things. I'm not a very good lesbian in that way. I don't know anything about
That's okay.
sports. Yeah, and it's very international. The food here, and it is really, really exceptional food. Also in the restaurants, and
Do you have like a Little Italy?
we have, well, there's the Italian section, which I live right near 9th Street, was traditionally an Italian street. South Philly is Italian. Then we also have a couple of Vietnamese shopping centers. We have a Chinatown. And it's funny because I was in Thailand and I really wanted to make a certain thing when I got back. And I walked, I hate to tell you that again, I walked
Of course you did.
4 blocks to the Vietnamese supermarket or to the Asian supermarket and got the ingredients that I needed to make this Thai dish that probably somewhere else I would not have been able to
die
access
for.
that kind of food resource. Food for shopping and also restaurants, just fantastic. I mean, everything and anything that you can think of. Yeah. And in West Philly, there's a lot of African restaurants, Ethiopian, Nigerian, just really great selections out there too. We have a lot of immigrants that have come, whether historically or even in the last few years, from Russia and Poland. So there's in North Philly, there's Russian restaurants, Polish restaurants.
Heavy sigh. Yeah, I'm jealous now. Yeah, I'm kind of like thinking back in New York. Like in New York, you can get anything, anywhere, any time of day or night. And Philly being so close, I'm sure that there's such a good amount of restaurants. Can you still get a bagel and cream cheese?
I'm sorry? Wait.
I'm used to in Brooklyn and New York getting a bagel and cream cheese. Can you get that in Philly?
Oh, yeah, of course. 4th Street Deli is like only a couple blocks from here.
Of course you can walk.
But yeah, and vegan. I wanted to mention also vegan and vegetarian food. I mean, we have a restaurant called Zahab, which is an Israeli restaurant that it's nearly impossible to get a reservation, but it's one of the best in the country for sure. Yeah.
Wow. I have to come visit. I
Yeah,
definitely do.
for sure.
Definitely do. I miss the food. I miss the culture. And in fact, my friends that I were friends with in Florida, they're in New York City now because they're originally from New York. So they're vacationing now in New York, and they were in Broadway last night, and they took a picture this morning of a bagel with cream cheese and lox on it. And I was like, oh, I'm missing it. I want to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then those Philly cheesesteaks, which I'm not much of a meat eater myself, but Philly is known for their cheesesteaks.
Yes,
I
they
wonder
are.
why. How did that start? Do you know?
That's a good question. I don't even know the answer to
No,
that.
I don't know how
Yeah.
that started, but
Yeah.
cheesesteak. I guess somebody just made a
Yeah.
cheesesteak.
Well, the tourists go to Pat's or Gino's, which again is just I can walk there from here. But there's many others that the real Philadelphia people, if you ask them, those are like not even the places you go. Those are the places that the suburban people go to and the tourist people go to. But
Right.
there's other places, gyms. I don't know if they opened up again because they had a fire, but there's some really classic, super good places to get a Philly cheesesteak. You'd have to Google it again because I don't really eat meat either, so I don't
Yeah.
know on that one. But yeah. So,
Okay. How about public transportation. We mentioned the trains and stuff,
Mhm.
but so is there like a local train that if you wanted to get from one side of Philly to the other or the outer areas, the suburbs, can you
Yeah,
take a
there's
local
regional
train?
rail, which is mostly serving to go to the suburbs. You can go to the airport. You can go to Wilmington, Delaware, which, oops, we forgot to talk about Wilmington. It's not too
That's
hard to
another.
skip that. Sorry, Wilmington, but it's only 30 minutes away from here. So you can
Wow.
take the train there too, and then out to the suburbs. And then, of course, to New York, DC, out to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. There's the regional rail. And then there's also connecting to like New Jersey Transit. And then there's also Amtrak, because Amtrak does come through. And there's the 30th Street Station, which is the main train station in Philadelphia. But within the city, there's like the Broad Street line, and there is other train lines you can take. But mostly you would be taking the bus. And I think the bus is now $2.50. But if you're over 65, it's free.
It's free. And how about the train? If you're over 65, is it free?
I don't think so, but don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. And
That's
not
okay.
to the airport, it wouldn't be, but I'm not sure if you're taking the subway on Broad Street. I don't know if that would be free, like the bus would be free. I have to check up on that. I'm not quite 65 yet, so I haven't looked into it.
So can you take a train to Rehoboth?
No, because there's no
No
trains.
train going into
You could take
Delaware.
it to Delaware to, let's say,
Wilmington only.
Wilmington, and then I guess you could just, Oh, and we do have Uber and Lyft, of course, and taxis. Yeah. So
How far is Rehoboth again?
Rehoboth is probably about 2 hours.
2 hours. Okay. So it's a little hike.
Yeah, it's a hike. Yeah,
Okay. But it's still doable for
it's
a
doable. You can rent a
nice
car.
weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't
it's
have one.
really nothing.
Yeah.
Very
Oh, and we have
good. I
Zipcar too.
love
I
it.
forgot to mention that.
What's that?
Zipcar. Well, because we have Uber, Lyft, you can rent a car, but you can also do Zipcar, which is the car rental by the hour
Right.
that you drive. Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah.
So you don't really need a car if you're living especially in Central City. Do you have a car?
I did not for 10 years of being here, but now I do. Once I sold Florida, I brought my Florida car up here, so I have a car now. But it sits for like days on end. Yeah.
Because, of course, you walk to everything. So,
Because I walked everything. I do like to go see my sister. She's an hour away, so
yeah, that
yeah.
comes in handy for things like that. But
Right, right.
very good. Very good. All right. So let's get into crime and safety. I've heard different things about Philadelphia as far as crime. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, crime is real, and crime is a factor on your list, on your checklist. And unfortunately, there is crime in Philly. We have a new mayor, and she is really cracking down. She's already taken action. She's not just said words, but she's been in office now 100 days, and she's already taken action on very specific things related to crime and other improvements to the city. I walk everywhere, as you already know, and I'll go out at night to dinner or out to the clubs. And if it's late, I'll probably take an Uber home. But if it's not, I'll walk home. Whereas I have a group of neighborhood walking ladies. They're all straight married women, and none of them will walk by themselves. They only will walk with their husbands at night. So I don't know. It's all perception. I mean, knock on wood. I've been here 12 years and nothing has ever happened to me. And as far as friends I have that live in the city, nothing has ever happened to them either. But, it can be just being at the wrong place at the wrong time, and the wrong person crosses your path. And that could
Yeah.
be a mall in suburbia, or it can be wherever
It could
in the
be
United
anywhere.
States. You know how it is. I know that there's a statistic that the crime has gone down some in Philly, but I don't have the exact numbers for you. But sometimes numbers are kind of meaningless in a way.
Yeah, knock wood. I mean, living in New York all of my life, well, up until 2014, knock wood, I never really had an incident myself.
Mm-hmm.
People have told me from work, Mark, I passed you in the street, and you had this like resting bitch face, like no one would mess with you.
That's
I was
right.
like, well, you're in downtown Brooklyn. It's not the nicest and greatest of areas. So your guard has to be up, and you can't look like you're a tourist. You have to have a resting bitch face in order
Right.
to don't F with me.
Right. You have to be city savvy, which
Right.
is in a lot of places you have to be.
Yeah. And people have to understand that. And it's funny, even my husband, he mentioned that he was getting a haircut one day. I forget where we were. It wasn't here. It was in New York. It was in Westchester when we lived in Westchester. And the barber was cutting his hair. And as I was passing, coming from the Metro North station, going up the block to home, I guess I passed the barber shop, not realizing he was in there. And the barber told to my husband, "Do you see that guy? He always has his puss on his face." And he said, "That guy's my husband." I thought it was quite funny.
That is funny. But I can relate.
Yep. But, we're city folks, so that's what we do.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to be on your guard, just like any other place, but it doesn't sound like it's overwhelming and terrible where you're afraid to go out. Yeah. So that's good. Mm-hmm. How about the homeless population? Is there a homeless population?
Yeah, there is. I would say probably not any worse than other major cities in the U.S. right now, because homelessness has gotten worse. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple of people that probably should be institutionalized even, right? I mean, among the homeless, some people are unfortunate and some people really need help. So it's like that everywhere in every city, kind of a mix. And some neighborhoods, you won't see anybody, and other neighborhoods, like maybe closer to City Hall or something like that, you'll see more people that are homeless. Yeah, I mean, it's
a big
the
problem
of the U.S. right now.
It's a big problem everywhere, especially, I don't know, prices go up, people can't afford where they live, they're forced out of their homes.
Right.
And unfortunately, we're not a place like Europe or Mexico, where they kind of take care of their own family and their whole generations and generations of family live in the same house and everyone takes care of one another. We're not like that, unfortunately.
And we even as a country, we don't take care of our elderly.
No, we don't. And it's sad. And what I fear is, and I always think about this, like our community, the LGBTQ community, has a disadvantage because we may not have offspring or siblings or to take care of us. And we go back, if we have to go into a health care facility, what do? Go back in the closet? I don't want to go back in the closet.
Right.
Because it's homophobic or whatever. No, I spent too many years of my life getting to where I am, and I'm not going to do that. So I don't know what's in store for us in the future.
Right.
It's sad. That's why I really say that we have to build community amongst each other and help one another out. So,
agree.
How about healthcare?
Well, here's a statistic for you. 80% of all doctors in the United States have done one rotation through Philadelphia. So we have Penn, we have Jefferson, and also Drexel. Oh, and Temple that are affiliated with. They are hospitals. Actually, another thing, the very first hospital in the United States is here in Philadelphia, and you can actually take a tour of it. They have a big operating room on the top floor that has this skylight, and they used to operate only during the day with the light from the skylights, and you actually can tour that operating room, and that's part of, I think it's part of Penn that still exists. But the healthcare here, there is a lot that you have options for, a lot of doctors. And so healthcare is access to healthcare, and access to good healthcare is a definite plus for here, for sure.
So God forbid something happened, you would feel comfortable and you would be able to go into one of those facilities, those hospitals, instead of like going into New York.
Oh, absolutely. Right? I wouldn't even, there's no reason to go to New York. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So your healthcare is that good that it's self-sufficient. So that's really good. That's, again, another one of my prerequisites. Have good healthcare. Mm-hmm. It's so important because, hey, I'm not getting any younger, and we need access to a primary care physician. We need access to specialists. I don't know, as we grow older, I need a cardiologist. My husband needs a gastroenterologist. So we need these specialists, and we have to make sure that we live in a place where we have access to it. And you know what? I don't want to wait 4 or 5 months for an appointment, especially if something is really bothering you. And I'm like, oh, sorry, Mr. Goldstein, you'll have to 5 months from now. I'm like, no, I can't deal with that. To me, access to good health care is very important to me. And again, the wait time is another thing, and the amount of doctors to patients ratio is important. So that's another thing, that in seeking out a retirement spot, you have to really do your homework. And I researched the shit out of these things and healthcare. And I could just go on Facebook groups or Reddit, and I just like type away, how's the healthcare here? And it could be a great retirement place, and everybody's saying it sucks. Why does it suck? And then you find out the reasons.
Right.
But so far, Philly is hitting all the check marks, though, for a place to really settle down and retire if you like urban lifestyle.
Right. Absolutely. If you like an urban lifestyle,
Right.
and you could live in the suburbs and have a country lifestyle, if you want to call it that. But Pennsylvania, there is a city tax, and there is also a state tax in Pennsylvania, in addition to the federal tax. And our sales tax, I think, is 8%. But we do not pay tax on Social Security, and we do not pay tax on pensions.
Oh, you don't on pensions either?
No. So that's a plus. And our property taxes, I can only compare it, let's say, to, because I'm right over the river from New Jersey, it's much cheaper than New Jersey is. But if you go further into Pennsylvania or down to Delaware, your property taxes will be less down there. Delaware does not have any sales tax. Well, they do have some income tax. I think it's 3%, but they do not have a sales tax. So last time I bought a laptop, I just drove the 30 miles down to Delaware and bought my laptop.
I was going to say you didn't walk.
I had to pay the sales tax. Although I'm not sure if my gas was less than that, but whatever. Yeah.
But that's awesome. So yeah, I was going to ask Social Security, you don't pay tax. That's great. And pension too. How about, so if you don't pay on pension, do you pay it like on taxes on 401k or IRAs?
Well, that, yes, because I'm not sure, because you do pay in
your regular
forms
federal
of
tax.
Income. You do pay in different forms of income. Like I own rental property. I pay income tax on that because that's considered an income. So I don't know if a 401k is considered income. Then in the state of Pennsylvania, you would. But I don't want to say that 100% because I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't have the answer for that. One answer okay. I don't have. Sorry
that's interesting. I'd have to look at that. Because I know you pay federal tax, but I don't know about state. I guess if they do have a state tax, you have to pay state tax.
But there's an inheritance tax. So if you have children and you die, then they would pay an inheritance tax. And it's where you live, not where the children live. Like when my mother died, we had to pay inheritance tax, even though I lived in Florida at the time.
Right. It's global.
Yeah. Right.
Oh,
okay. To me,
why do they still have that?
It doesn't matter.
Why do they still have that?
I don't know. Who even knows why?
Yeah, they have
not
that.
Not spouses. This is for children and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So spouses are exempt?
I believe spouses are exempt because that's not inheriting. That's not inheriting. That's like
joint.
Spouses. Right.
Yeah. And it's kind of weird in Europe too. In Spain, I was researching that too. Mm-hmm. And depending upon where you live in Spain depends upon if you're going to be paying inheritance tax too. It's really strange. Each autonomous region has its own rules and regulations and laws and tax laws. So it gets really complicated in that matter. Mm-hmm. But that's interesting that they still have inheritance tax, but they got to make money somewhere.
I guess so.
Everybody's walking, not using...
Right, not using the turnpike. Yeah.
I'm really getting into this like walking thing. I like it because I love the urban environment where I could just walk anywhere, like walk downtown. I can do anything. You want to go to a show, you can walk there. I'm all about that.
Hmm.
You want to
Hmm.
go to a restaurant? If your restaurant's nearby, see, like where we are here, we can walk to a few, but not most of them. We have to take the car or this evening we're going to a local one. We could actually walk. It's far. So we're going to take the light rail a couple of
Oh,
stops,
good. That's
which is
nice. Yeah,
right
that
across the
light
street
rail
from
there.
us. We can
Yeah.
just take that.
Yeah, that's a
So
beautiful thing. Yeah.
yeah, I like that. I love it. So healthcare is great. Everything sounds so good. Do you wish you had something in Philadelphia that you had somewhere else that you don't have in Philadelphia? Is there anything like you had in Florida that you miss,
Well,
except for the beach?
better weather,
Better
right? Better
weather.
weather. And we have the beaches here, but they're just further. I mean, in Florida, I lived like right, practically close to the beach. Here, it's an hour away or so. And it's a different beach. And it's seasonal. It's only the summertime, right?
Right.
And there's definitely some cons with Philly. I mean, the crime, because it is a city, and it's kind of a dirty city, I have to say. It's kind of gritty.
That's
The
another thing I
mascot for one of
heard.
the sports teams is called Gritty. And it's like this orange furry creature of some kind. But that's Philly. It's just like you go, yep, that's how it is. And you just sort of shrug it off. And there's a bit of a litter problem. And don't ask me why, but it is.
Do they clean the streets? I mean, do they have like these street cleaners like they do in New York that sweep
Yeah, only
the
certain
the streets?
neighborhoods. Yeah, only certain neighborhoods. Yeah. So it's definitely a very real city with the sort of downsides of that. And again, it's about if you want to have
Weighing.
pastures and horse farms, well, then you would move to Devon, which is like 20 minutes from here, but you wouldn't move, you wouldn't live in Center City. And so that I would say the weather, the crime issue, and then like the pollution, dirty stuff is definitely, I would say, the three things that I'd say, yeah, maybe not my favorite for that, but then I have the whole long list of all the positives. So again, it's
I
about what
think
are your lists and how much are the things important to you.
I think
Yeah.
those positive though, those positive things definitely outweigh the negatives, at least to
Mhm.
me, from an outsider talking to you. I mean, you know what? All right, so I'll deal with a little cold and a little grit, but I can walk everywhere. I can
Right.
have great meals. I love arts and culture. And so all of that kind of stuff is so appealing too. So it, today is April 13th. And what's the weather like? What's the temperature? Do you know what the
Uh,
temperature is?
yeah, well, I can tell you. Let me look at my phone 1 second, and I'll tell you. Today, when I ran when I walked to Macy's, I had my light little puffy jacket on. It's 56 degrees.
Okay.
That's what it is today. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's going to the 80s here today, but 50s is pretty nice
Hmm.
for this time of year.
Yeah,
And
50s is about right for this area of the country. Even
yeah.
that's about right. Yeah.
And is Macy's walkable?
Yes, of course.
Why did I ask?
Why did you even
Why
ask?
did I even ask? Okay. So you can
Yes.
walk to the department stores too.
Hmm.
I love where you live. I do
Well,
because for me, because I'm an
yeah.
urbanite,
Mhm.
I'm a city boy. I'm from Brooklyn. So
Right.
I'm that type of person.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess we went over the cons because the things that you don't have could be cons. So the crime and the grittiness. Okay. So in wrapping up, what would you tell our audience if they were looking to move to a place on the East Coast and they discovered Philadelphia? What would you say to them as far as retiring here?
Well, if you're looking for an urban retirement that's walkable with endless amount of culture and theater and other types of things to do where every day there's something going on, different organizations, volunteer groups, or libraries and fantastic restaurants. This is your place. But clearly, if you want an existence that primarily is based on driving, yeah, you can have a car here, but it probably wouldn't be your first choice. And the weather, if you want sunny and warm, no, that would not be your choice. But if you like to travel extensively and you like to have access to an international airport where you can just get home easy in 15 minutes and then just be here and be over the pond to Europe easily, then yeah, that would be another plus. It's about everybody and what they want. There's no rights or wrongs,
Utopia.
right? It's just everybody's personal preference. But I feel like years ago when I moved up here, I ran into a former colleague in Miami airport, and he said, "Nancy, I haven't seen you in a while." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I moved up to Philadelphia," and he goes, "Oh, you mean the best kept secret in the Northeast?" And I say, "Yeah, that about sums it up." Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's not too far off from that, because it sure sounds like it the way you described it. So I'm coming for a visit.
Okay. Let me know.
I'm going to get that Philadelphia freedom. I love it. I love it. Before we go, I'd like to add the answers that I've gotten to some of the questions. I am not giving advice of any tax information. Please consult a tax attorney for any tax information that I give. Let's talk about taxes again and clear a few things up, as well as transportation and costs. I want to add that Pennsylvania is very tax friendly towards retirees. Some of the retirement tax benefits of Pennsylvania include retirement income that we discussed before is not taxable. Payments from retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs are tax exempt. Pennsylvania also does not tax income from pensions for residents aged 60 and over. Okay, so those who do 401k withdrawals that are 60 and over will not get taxed by the state of Pennsylvania for their withdrawals. Same goes with IRAs and pensions. So that could be quite a substantial savings when retiring. Social Security income is not taxable. Just like with a pension in Pennsylvania, Social Security is also tax exempt. Pennsylvania, just as a note, has the lowest flat tax rate in the country at just 3.07. Also, property tax and a rent rebate program. Pennsylvania provides a rebate to eligible retirees and people with disabilities ranging from $380 to $1,000. In addition to the tax advantages offered to retirees in Pennsylvania, the cost of living is also slightly below the national average, and the average sales tax rate is just 6.17%. So for all of us retirees, that's pretty good. Pennsylvania is always sounding better and better. And Philly, in fact, let's talk about the transportation. We touched on it before, and Nancy, you discussed before that the buses were free if you're a senior over 65 years old. And my question also was, how about the trains? So let's review that too. How could you save money on transportation living in Philadelphia? Well, Pennsylvania mandates a discount on all auto insurance for drivers aged 55 plus who complete an approved mature driver improvement course. That's number one savings. Number two, it's called SEPTA. So that's the city, bus, subway, and trolley rides are free for seniors age 65 with a valid ID. SEPTA regional rail lines within Pennsylvania are $1 for a one-way ride during off-peak hours. So that's pretty great. So the local bus, subway, and trolleys, if you're over 65, they're free for seniors. That's That to me that's wonderful. And besides the walkability factor in Philly, oh my goodness. So let's talk about a little bit about New Jersey Transit. Passengers 65 years old plus can save one half or more off regular one-way fares at all times. Some discounts are available as well to customers 62 and above. Let's talk about the discounted bridge and tolls. That's called the DRPA. The DRPA of Pennsylvania and New Jersey offers discounted bridge tolls for crossing DRPA bridges to passengers and drivers age 65 with a New Jersey Easy Pass account. So as long as you have a New Jersey Easy Pass, you can get that discount as well. And PATCO, that's PATCO, customers age 65 or more or plus are offered a reduced fare of 70 cents between any two PATCO stations during off-peak hours. So in wrapping up that, between taxes and transportation, along with, the affordability, the low taxes, the walkability, hey, it sounds like a winner to me. Just wanted to add that to everything else. Well, Nancy, thank you. And yes, there's no utopia. Everybody is different. And you know what? We have to decide for ourselves what's right for us. Right now, Philadelphia is right for you. It sounds great to me. I'm looking forward to carrying on our conversation at a later date and catching up. And thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. I so appreciate it. It was great talking to you. And I feel like we're friends now.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
we're very comfortable with one another. And again, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. Okay.
And we'll talk soon, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you again.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Where Do Gays Retire podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast and consider making a donation by clicking the coffee cup on any page at www.wheredogaysretire.com. Each cup of coffee that you buy costs $5 and goes towards helping us continue the podcast. Thank you for your continued support.